Hello and welcome back to Daily Buying Tips. I'm Dean Berman from Berman Buys. Today we're going to discuss which is cheaper, renting or buying. This is a particularly interesting topic for first home buyers and downsizers. Purely on numbers, renting is obviously the cheaper option, but in the short term. As the upfront costs associated with buying are much higher, you have deposits to pay and you also have stamp duty. But there is one way over the medium to long term where buying, in my opinion, actually becomes cheaper than renting. The main way is to turn half your newly bought property into an investment. I'll first explain the numbers, then I'll show you how this can be a cheaper option. Comparing like for like, buying a $600,000 property at a 4% interest rate versus renting that same property if you're paying a 4% rental yield. In both instances, the cash flow will be the same, at around $461 per week. When buying, you'll need about $80,000 upfront as a normal buyer to purchase a property. This figure, however, will depend on which state you're buying in, as the stamp duty rates in New South Wales, Victoria and Queensland vary. You will, however, need a bit less if you are a first home buyer in either New South Wales or Victoria, as their first home buyer grants, which can reduce the stamp duty by upwards of $20,000 or $30,000. Now this is where things get interesting. Simply turning half this $600,000 property into an investment means you will probably be able to receive, give or take, around that $250 per week rental mark from getting a second person to rent the property from you. This would effectively cut your mortgage by 50% or more than half, which would mean your weekly repayments effectively drop down to $211 from $461, which they were before. This graph shows that by receiving that extra $250 per week, the property becomes cheaper and effectively pays off the initial 80 grand outlay after about 6.1 years. Meaning after that period, the buying option becomes cheaper than the renting option, as you're recovering more than you spend in the rental option. The question I ask is, would it be worth sharing with someone else if it gets you onto the property ladder?